You're going to see William Nylander start camp at center ice. That was the bombshell of the day, I guess. That
bombshell of the day.
I don't know
could
why
last
they
4 plays. Yeah, I know. It's like the way Sheldon Keefe switches the lines around. That could last 2 shifts of a preseason game. And then he'll be like, no, you're playing with John Tavares now. Maybe you're playing with Austin. I can't see it lasting more than a period.
I could see it, but I could see them moving Tavares to the wing. That's where I think eventually. Let's not forget, it's not like John's 26 anymore, and he's not 40. So he had a good season, point a game guy last year. I don't think he exceeded expectations, but he's been very rock solid since he's put on a Toronto Maple Leaf jersey. Very consistent. But at some point, there might be a little decline. And if that's the case, and William Nylander, I could see them mixing and matching, but I just don't know why you announce that opening day of training camp. William Nylander's playing center. We'll figure it out when you get out on the ice and all that. It's almost like temperature check to see what people think of it. I don't know. Plus, what he thinks of it too, right?
Let's just see how they're committed to it. How committed are they to this? Is this a sit down where it's you're going to be a center iceman this year and we're going to let it fly? Or is this Sheldon Keefe experimenting because we know that can change within half a period?
Yeah, the conspiracy theorist in me thinks this is just a classic diversion tactic so that people don't ask Nylander about his contract, which if that's the case and they're thinking on that level, that's galaxy brain stuff. Right? Hey, throw this bomb at the media so they're like, oh, who cares about the contract? Hey, Willie, you're playing center. What do you think, man? What's going on with playing center ice? It actually would be a brilliant PR.
Watch these dummies. They're going to talk for 4 days about you playing center.
No one's talking about the contract.
We're doing it.
And we're doing it. We're doing it.
Not 3 dummies right here talking about it right now.
We'll fall into your trap. We'll fall into your trap, all right? Here we are. We're falling ass backwards into the Leafs trap because if that is the case, it's worked out beautifully. I think if this is true, this is all about Tavares. This is not as much about Willie as it is about Tavares.
Probably so, Hazy.
Right? With him making $11 million a year, they don't have the money and they don't have the prospects coming to replace that position. Right? Second-line center is an incredibly important position in the NHL. And if Tavares can't give it to them at the appropriate level, it's not that he can't play anymore. It's not that he still isn't a very good centerman. I think they realize they got 2 more years at $11 million. They're up against it. David Kampf is not capable of moving that high. I don't think they want Max Domi as a second-line center. So it's either Tavares or Nylander, right? That's probably what they're expressing here. So they're going to give Willie a shot. They're going to see how comfortable he is. If it works, I think the plan is, yes, Willie can move up the middle of the ice. I don't know if it will work. I don't know how long it will last. But if it does, it's not as much about we like Willie there as I think it will be we want to move Tavares out. And when they acquired O'Reilly, that's what happened immediately. They got Ryan O'Reilly in here. John Tavares immediately moved to left wing. That was last season, right? I think you should anticipate that happening in the future, that Tavares is going to play a mixture of center and left wing. I think that will happen a lot.
And keep in mind, when you have a 9-pack, which is pretty deep, and that's what we're talking about, you are going to mix and match. It wasn't, I believe the Oilers experimented when they went with McDavid, Draisaitl, and Nugent-Hopkins down the middle and then mix guys around that. Mm-hmm. If you have depth, you can play with that. Doesn't mean that John Tavares is going to be your third-line center. Doesn't mean that William Nylander is going to be your third-line center. But it might, on certain nights or in certain situations, you can give the other team a different look and have strength in that position. That's all it does. It adds to the depth of that position if you feel like the others are filled out. So I find it, and I know we're joking about it, but this is what we are talking about instead of William Nylander's contract. We're
Absolutely.
talking about, there's going to be an adjustment for William Nylander, and we're going to be asking him, the transition to center, did you play it in the minors for Sheldon, I believe?
Yeah, he did.
So
he
there
played
you go.
Up the middle of the ice with the Marlies, for sure. All he's known in terms of having success at the NHL level is on the wing, and that's still available to Sheldon Keefe. But it sounds like this was Trey Living basically telling Keefe and Nylander, this is what we're going to try. And I would have to assume that if you're going to make this announcement, it's not for a practice or two. right? Like, I think you might as well commit to it for the full preseason. You know what he is on the wing. Willie's a veteran.
Yeah.
Willie knows who he is, what he is. Nylander.
I think he is
fine.
a winger, to be honest with you. I just don't see him as the guy, like the attention to detail needed if you want like a guy that can play in both ends of the rink. And as Ray always says, not everyone's a 200-foot player.
Mm-hmm.
And I've actually never considered Willie a 200-foot player because he is good at stick checking. He does intercept pucks. He breaks up plays in the neutral zone. But he just seems like a guy that likes to slash throughout the neutral zone and get into open areas and find open ice. And I just wonder what he would have thought when this was brought to his attention, because I know, and this is a completely different scenario, when I tried to come out of retirement, I wanted to be a right winger. And Lavi, of all people, comes up and says, we're going to put you at center ice in the preseason. And I gasped. I just was like, come on, man. But when you're on a tryout, you have no choice.
Yeah, you got to go around.
Yeah. I was playing with like third. I was
man.
I was on the third line playing center, and I could hardly. I wanted to play first line right wing. Justin Williams blew out his Achilles. I'm like, there's my spot, and that just didn't come to fruition. I was wheeling around. But the question is, if you put William Nylander at right wing with John Tavares and Max Domi as a second line, looks like a pretty good second line.
Yeah.
But who would be your third line center?
Well,
I don't think David Kamp's a good enough player for that position.
No, I think
he is cemented as a fourth line center. He's very good at it. He kills penalties, but he just does not create enough offense. He doesn't do it. Not that third line centermen generally create a whole bunch, but he doesn't do enough offensively. So who the hell's going to play there?
Well, correct me if I'm wrong. I do believe Domi played center in Montreal and had a career year.
He can play
points.
center for sure. That's an option.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah.
It is,
fair enough.
but I don't know if it's an option for 82 games. And let's be clear here. I think you can still be a playoff team with David Kampf as your third line center. I don't think you can win a cup like that. Right? There's a separation.
Right.
Like if you got rock star first two lines, you got good guys on the wing, you got depth. Kampf can probably supply you something up the middle of the ice on the third line. But I think the vision is come playoff time, he's on the fourth line. So they're going to have to figure that out, and this could be a part of that pursuit.